Are you ready, my dudes, to start racing in deep purple? Because it is now time for us to work our way through the purple section. And because there are so many different lessons that we have in this game, I'm going to split this section up into 3 parts, because I figured that is the best way to do this. So this will be a 3-part playthrough of the purple section, because we do have coffee mugs as well. And now that we have learned all the basics of driving a car in a racing game, we now get to move on to overtaking in a car. Overtaking on the inside of a bend. So 16.4 seconds is our gold time, and 17 seconds is our silver time. So we've learned how to control a car, how to steer a car, how to set a time trial lap with the car. 2 time trial laps to be more specific. And we have now learned the basics of how to control both front and rear wheel drive cars, as well as 4-wheel drive cars. Now we get to move on to the basics of how to race these cars, as we begin at Tsukuba Circuit with a Mitsubishi Lancer. And before I waste any more of your time, let's actually head into the lesson.
Welcome to the Gran Turismo 4 Prologue bonus lessons. Starting with this lesson, you'll learn readily applicable skills designed to win races. For the first of these lessons, you'll practice passing an opponent on the inside of the second hairpin corner of Tsukuba Circuit. When you're driving by yourself, you can take the ideal line through the corner. However, with an opponent on the track, your line has to be at least slightly faster. How do you manage this? The answer: delay braking at the entrance to the corner and slip into your opponent's racing line. This way, he won't be able to stay on the ideal line. Take care not to make contact with your opponent's car. Play fair by making smooth passes, and timely use of the brake should bring you in line with your opponent, allowing you to pass. Best of luck with the lesson.
As ever, Vicky, I appreciate the motivation. So we have got 2 Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 5s, I think is what we have here. And basically, we not only learn how to overtake, but we learn how to overtake diligently with our opponent. Learn the technique of overtaking your opponent on the inside line on the second hairpin corner of the Tsukuba Circuit. Remember the timing of when to brake and taking the correct racing line in order to exit the corner at maximum speed. So 16.4 is what we need for a gold, and 17 seconds is what we need for a silver. There are no time limits, so let's try and see if we can be successful with this. And at the moment, I am being very unsuccessful, and I have collided. I'm not surprised. The entry I took in that first attempt was terrible. There's no other word for it. Oh, a little bit of contact there, but able to get on the inside. And just like that, on my second attempt, I pass with relative ease, with a time of 16.265 seconds. So that is our first overtaking manoeuvre. I made a slight bit of contact on the entry, I will admit, but I did manage to get the move done cleanly because I was on the inside. Not exactly the best way to pull off a clean overtake, but nonetheless, it was clean enough for me to pass. And hey, I was right, we were driving an Evo 5. I surprisingly know my Lancer Evolution models very well. Anyway, 1 lesson down, 3 lessons to go, plus a coffee break. Basics of overtaking. 2. Overtaking on a bend using the outside racing line. So our required time for a gold is 23.4 seconds, and it needs to be 24 seconds for a silver. There are no time limits, we just need to get the job done. Let's get on with it.
Welcome to lesson 27. In the last lesson, you learned how to pass your opponent on the inside of the racing line, but that strategy won't work every time. Time now to learn how to pass on the outside of your opponent. This lesson takes place in the same area, the second hairpin corner of the Tsukuba circuit. As you approach the corner, if it seems too difficult to pass your opponent on the inside, don't risk it. Align your car with your opponent on the outside and race like that to mid-corner. Then turn harder than usual. Near the end of the corner, your opponent will come back to the outside. You, on the other hand, will brush by your rival on the inside, creating a chance to pass the car on the following straight. This is, of course, the same line you learned in an earlier lesson that emphasises corner exit speed. This technique is effective when used on a corner that precedes a long straight. Best of luck in the lesson.
So this time we are now driving a NissanSkylineGT-R R32 for this lesson. And it's a little bit longer than the other one because we have a backstretch that succeeds the hairpin. So we have got a bit more running room this time to make sure that we pull it off. And as ever, we have to make sure that we don't collide with our opponent in order to pass. Learn how to overtake your opponent on the outside, on the second hairpin of the Tsukuba circuit. Try to align yourself with the opponent's car at the exit of the corner whilst being aware of understeer when entering. Understeer, by the way, is when the front wheels won't respond to the entry point when you're entering the corner at speed. There is also a way to master the shifting as well, but that may take a bit of time to get used to. But still, I set a good time to start with. 23.5, that is a pretty solid time to start with. But I'm still a 10th off. So let's now try and see if we can find that missing 10th. I don't think the contact on the right hand side is going to be something I'll avoid anymore, as much as I'm desperately trying to. But it doesn't matter, because this time I get the gold. By over a 100th of a second, I got the gold. Again, understeer is not really something you can control when you're seeing yourself getting a side draft from the other car. Sometimes it's just one of those racing deals, but I guess if the game decides you do have the inside line, then it will more or less let you off, but it's not exactly the best way to do it. But sometimes you just have to accept it, even if you don't want to. Sometimes there are just instances where contact is inevitable. I don't always like to do it, and I know it's not exactly the cleanest move to pull off, but sometimes if your car has got a snap of understeer, then that's kind of what will lead to it. But anyways, we now have the Nissan Skyline GT-R V-Spec R34. And now we are 2 lessons down in the purple section. And now we begin with test number 3, and where this time we are driving a Mazda RX-8. Overtaking using your opponent's slipstream. So 51.8 is what we need for a gold, and 52.3 is what we need for a silver. So, let's see how we do with test number 3 in the purple section.
Welcome to lesson 28. In this lesson, you'll be practicing a technique crucial for high-speed circuit racing, the slipstream pass. The location is the well-known high-speed track, the Fuji International Speedway. If you drive behind a car driving at high speed, the air resistance affecting your car is lowered and you get sucked forward as your speed increases. Using this speed boost to your advantage is what the slipstream pass is all about. In an earlier lesson, you already practiced braking techniques into corner 1. Now you'll learn to drive right behind your opponent's car, then just before you reach corner 1, slip into the inside. Try not to be either too early or too late on your grab for the inside. If you make your move too early, you won't be able to take full advantage of the other car's slipstream. If you're too late, you won't line up correctly next to your opponent. Using the slipstream is all about timing. Give it a few tries until you can get a feel for the perfect moment. Now, good luck with the lesson.
And now we head on to Fuji Speedway for lesson number 3 of the purple section. Learn how to overtake a car's slipstream on Fuji's last corner. Pay attention to the braking point and the timing of aligning yourself with your opponent's car. This, by the way, is also Fuji Speedway before they revamped and redesigned the course in 2005. This is basically before they modified the circuit and built it into its current iteration that it's had now for nearly 20 years. Anyway, here we go. At Fuji Speedway for lesson number 3 in the purple section. And I also have to make sure I do not collide with my opponent in the process. Just have to make sure I stay close to him, and then we should be good. And just like that, I overtake him, and I am now leading by at least a 10th. Oh, I went too deep. Fuck me, I went too deep. Okay, let's try again. That was too fast on the entry. I should have been on the brakes earlier than that. I knew I was going to overshoot turn 1. I just wasn't really expecting myself to do anything more than that. So let's try this again and make sure that this time at least I do not overshoot the corner. And now I am a little further ahead than what I was before. Okay. A bit earlier on the brakes this time, which is what I need to be. And don't run wide on the exit, okay? It's all good. And I get the gold by less than 3/10. In my yellow Mazda RX-8. And that is that. So there we go. And now, I think we just have one more lesson to go before the coffee break. So there it is. The Mazda RX-8 from 2003. And now, we just have one lesson to go in this part of the track. Sorry, in this part of the purple section. Racing practice. 1. Racing practice using the Nissan 350Z. So we need 1 minute 33 for a gold and 2 minutes for a silver. As we are driving the Nissan 350Z for this lesson. Let's see how we go.
Welcome to lesson 29. Finally, your chance has come to experience a real race taking place on the Tsukuba circuit. As you start, the opponent's car is 10 seconds ahead of you. You have 3 laps to overtake him. By now, you should be comfortable driving on the Tsukuba circuit. However, now you have to pass your opponent successfully, and you'll have to consider the best passing points. Ideal points include the entrance to the first corner, the 2 hairpins, and the last corner. Consider the distance between you and your opponent and the differences in your lap times to determine approximately where you will catch up with his car. It isn't easy to overtake on the Tsukuba circuit, so you should try driving a variety of lines and study the different passing possibilities. This is not a 3-lap time trial. You will pass the test only by overtaking your opponent and maintaining your lead for a duration of 10 seconds. Be very careful not to make contact or you will be disqualified instantly. Best of luck.
So basically, this is just a case of us needing to catch up to our opponent on the racetrack and then to make sure that we pass them in a certain amount of time. I should also mention, there is quite a differentiation between what you need for a gold time as well as what you need for a silver time. As you start this lesson, your opponent's car is 10 seconds ahead of you on the Tsukuba circuit. Overtake within 3 laps. There are only limited overtaking opportunities, so think carefully. I will. So, let's try and see if we can get the pass done. And hopefully I can do that. Because I have more than enough experience to believe myself in saying it's possible. Or believe in myself, I should say. I just need to make sure I do it without colliding with him. I just need to make sure I pass him without colliding with him, and then we should be Gucci. It's a little bit slow through there, but it's okay. Because I am slowly catching up to him, and I am probably just 2 seconds behind him now, and I'm steadily closing in. Once you get used to this, it's actually not too hard to work out where the best opportunity is. You just need to make sure you do it without colliding with your opponent. A little bit of contact there, but I think that was just a nudge. And now that I'm in the lead, I should easily get the gold. 2, 1, and there we go. With 6 seconds to spare, I have scored the gold on my first try, as I would have expected at this point, because I think that just felt so true and real. You know what? I'm actually gonna right over that replay I previously saved and get one of the Nissan instead, because I just want to. That one just felt more like it, and also because, well, with the 350Z I can actually see who the driver is, which is also pretty cool. So I've overwritten my previous replay and saved it with a lap plus of a replay. And so, there we go. That's all of the lessons down, and the only thing that's really left for me to do now is the coffee break, as we have got the Nissan 350Z Roadster. And boy, do I like this thing. I really like this thing. Okay. You know what? I'm just gonna end this off with the coffee break and then we should be good. Coffee break 4. Knock over all cones whilst following the racing line. So 41 seconds is what we need for a gold and 45 seconds is what we need for a silver. So, let's get on with it. Driving a Suzuki Cappuccino.
Time for another coffee break. For this course, 100 cones have been lined up on the beginner course of the driving park. Touch them as fast as possible for the best trophy. The cones are aligned to the racing line. On the corners, this means they're placed in an out-in-out formation, giving you a chance to review your basic driving knowledge. If you find yourself unable to knock them all over in one go, this could be a symptom of over-enthusiastic steering or poor accelerator control. Enjoy your coffee break.
So basically we just have to knock over all these cones in one lap, and then I think we'll more or less get the gold once we have established the sort of pace we need to set. That's not to say this will be anything easy, but I do have an idea of what it is we more or less need to do here. And whilst I'm here, I might as well show the full run so you've more or less got an idea of what sort of pace you need to be setting if you're going for the gold like me. Okay, and that's a full lap of beginner's course with the Suzuki Cappuccino. It's coffee break time. Knock over all of the 100 cones lined up on the track in the fastest time possible. Use the out-in-out racing technique to get the best results. So 41 seconds is what we need for a gold, and 45 seconds is what we need for a silver. There are no time limits here, but if you want to get the gold, the target is 41 seconds. So let's try and see if we can do that. I was a little slow with the RPMs there, but I think I should be alright once we really get a rhythm established here. Okay, got a little bit more RPM this time. I think my first run was basically nothing to really gouge your eyes on. Because, well, to put it simply, it was dreadful once I missed the cones. And I missed a few cones, which is part of the reason why I failed. But not this time, because I get the gold by 1.3 seconds flat. And I gotta say, that just felt so satisfying, knowing that I actually succeeded with that. Anyway, there we go. So that'll do it for part 1 of the purple section, for which I now have a 1992 Suzuki Cappuccino in the cars I can now use in arcade mode. And I think that's going to do it for part 1 of the purple section. Next time, we will be doing part 2. However, before then, let's review our progress. So we did 5 tests altogether, including the coffee break, in part 1 of the green section, as we now have 33 gold trophies in our pocket. And we just have another 13 tests to go, including the coffee break. And then, once we are done with that, we should pretty much be done with school mode altogether. But either way, that'll do it for part 1 of the green section. And next time, we will be doing part 1 of the purple section. And next time we will be doing part 2. Coming in the next episode of GT4 Prologue.